practice of it, but not the healing system itself. So that's where regulation is far away. However, having said that, Ayurveda is still a recognized area right now, practice in Canada. I would say, I think it was about 2 or 3 years back. I'm not sure about the year, but it's been recent that Ayurveda has also been added in the national occupation list. So when you see the AOC list of Canada under natural health systems, you will see Ayurveda. So we are seeing Ayurveda kind of coming up in a lot of the logistics and the statistics within Canada. So officially, if that's what you are looking into or asking about where Ayurveda stands, that's where it stands. A lot of students that choose to study Ayurveda in general are the students that come out of passion mainly, or they had her personal experience where they've tried other systems of medicine, either for themselves, for family, like as a user, or if they're already in a health practice, they have seen some miraculous results, some very promising results with their patients/clients, and they want to study this further. There's no promotion of Ayurveda as a career that students would choose it as a career. However, it can be a good option as a career change because, as I said, it's not regulated, but it's recognized. And you can become a licensed practitioner with a proper insurance coverage that can protect you as a practitioner, legitimate practitioner. But this all falls under the area of natural medicine, not independent as Ayurveda. Ayurveda is an independent systems of medicine, does not have that kind of category right now. So it falls under the area of natural medicine. All the legalities of your practices also falls under the area of natural medicine. So whatever applies to other areas of natural medicine would apply to you. So for example, common questions are herbs. Students ask, graduates ask about herbs. How do I use herbs? So whatever is allowed for any given herbalist, the way they can compound it, the herbs that are recognized and approved by Natural Health Product Directorate are the herbs that you can work with. So those same parameters would apply to you, but of course your learning and your study and your scope is more precise to Ayurveda. You cannot use this title if you want to try to build an insurance company because it's not regulated, so you don't come under regulatory practitioner, but that's the only area that you miss out on. And a lot of the formal ways where you could write a note for a school or things like that, those things do not come. But as a practitioner, you're very well recognized under the umbrella of natural medicine. So that's where Ayurveda in general stands. Of course, the practice in a wide scope in North America or anywhere outside of India is different, especially in what we call it as the G8 countries with Europe, Western Europe more so, Canada, US, Japan as well. The practice is very different than in India. Eastern Europe, Central America, South America, they have a practice that is very parallel to how it is practiced in India. Also because the climatic conditions are more favorable, because Ayurvedic medicine has so many different ways of looking at health and disease and treatments, and it follows the natural rhythms like your season, your time of the day, the time of the year. So those countries have got more favorable climatic conditions, very similar to what we see in India as a tropical condition. And that's why the methods of practicing is very, very same. Personally, as a teacher, I've been now teaching for many, many years. I've been an academician actually right from my graduation in India in 2002. I've been teaching as well as I'm practicing. And I always say this, that Ayurveda is it's a global philosophy of health and well-being. That has not changed since 3000 and over years, but definitely the way of practice of the medicine itself has changed as human beings have also evolved, as the medicine component has migrated from India to different parts of the world. The practice of medicine has changed. So, for example, there's so many herbs that are now extinct as well, right in India as well. And so, what references we find in classical texts, those herbs are not available anymore. So, we have found different ways of working. So, those practices have changed in the medicine component, but as far as the principles have not changed. The moment you change principle, then it's not Ayurveda. So we have a lot of room. It's a vast system of healing. It's a vast system of medicine, and we have a lot of room and a lot of scope. So even though it's not practiced in a similar method, it does not limit you. You will see that still it is very profound and it is applicable and it has a similar efficacy. So just narrowing the scope does not narrow the efficacy of the medicine part of it, as far as you're keeping to the principle. If you change the principle, then of course it's not Ayurvedic medicine anymore. So that's one part. And then Ayurveda and yoga are also sister sciences. So often Ayurveda is also called as the healthcare for yogis, but that is because you have to be on a certain or follow a certain regimen for the medicine to take effect if there's a disease state. So yogi does not mean necessarily that you have to be practicing yoga, but yogi means that you have to have a little bit of a clear lifestyle, a simpler lifestyle, a simpler dietary habits for it to be more efficient in its working. Third, there are a lot of other areas um, in Indian medicine, the vastness of Indian medicine. So, Indian medicine is basically a way coming from Vedic sciences. So, Ayurveda and yoga both comes from the similar scriptures of Vedic sciences. Indian medicine is broad in a way because a lot of things in the history of the medicine, history of Ayurvedic medicine, lot of the little pieces got lost. Some of you must be aware that we went through a big time with colonization in India. Um, Before colonization, we were ruled by other kind of foreign invasions like the what is called as the Mughal or the Persian invasions. Then we also had Spanish, Portuguese, a lot of different people have, or different kingdoms have ruled India. And in that process, a lot of the pieces of the key medicine is lost. So Indian medicine right now broadly looks into what is currently practiced as Ayurvedic medicine, what is currently practiced as yoga and yoga therapy. And also those little pieces that have been lost are brought back in. For example, Marma, which is one of my specialization as well. Marma Nadi or Marma Nadi Chikitsa. Chikitsa means therapy, and Marma is the vital point. So, like acupuncture was also part of Ayurvedic medicine, which was called as Suchi Karma. And now we don't practice that in Indian medicine or in Ayurvedic medicine anymore because the art of practice was lost. So although in theory it's there, but the art of practice was lost over the years. And this can happen with any one of us, even as simple as cooking a dish. If you have not cooked it for a long time and you try to recook it, it might not turn out the same way. So if our healing art has not been practiced for 400 years, 500 years, of course we have lost that practice into the healing art, but it still exists in theory. And many more, even chiropractic, which was called as Meru Chikitsa or osteopathy, was also part of the Ayurvedic medicine. And Meru actually means, it's the name of a mountain, and Meru means spine. Chikitsa again is therapy. So a lot of the healing art therapies were lost. And this is one thing that we are trying to do even at Center for Ayurveda. We're trying to bring in these lost healing arts as well. So when you are studying the Ayurvedic medicine, we try to put it more broadly, because here a lot of these therapies are practiced as well. So it becomes really interesting for you to know that what value the other therapies have and how you can integrate it in Ayurvedic medicine. So that's a little bit of a history of Ayurvedic medicine. Before taking more time, I'll be speaking more on the courses and the programs. It's 11:15, and I will have our next uh, person, and this person is very special. I'll introduce you to her. Her name is Janeen Yusuf. She is one of the current faculties of CAISH, who teaches the first level of the program with another faculty who's not in here today, Bhavya. Both are extraordinary beings, graduates of the school as well, and she'll give you more insight to that. And today she'll be sharing on Ayu-yoga, and this is how we practice also at the school, where we always try to look into integration, whether it be yoga and Ayurveda, not separating it, and you can see it, feel it, learn it with Janeen today. So I will put myself in mute and let Janeen take it over.
Okay, wonderful. Can everybody hear me? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, great. It's really great to be here, and I'm looking forward to sharing with you about Ayu-yoga for the next 15 minutes. So first I'll share some context, and then move into some summer Ayu-yoga tips, and then finish with a very short practice together. So starting with just some context of yoga. Yoga in its essence is a holistic and integrative process, which is inclusive of asana or postures. We often hear, when we hear yoga, we often equate it to asana and postures. But it's inclusive of it, but absolutely not limited to it. So yoga has many, many tools, and these tools are interrelated. And some of these tools are cultivating truth and inner peace, cultivating our inner will and our discernment, pranayam, which are breathing practices, mudra, some gestures, mantra, concentration practices, meditation, sadhana, and many more tools as well. And Ayurveda being an ancient medicine, ancient healing system, and also known as the mother of all healing, it honors and celebrates the individual as really a unique being. And we can see this through the principle or the framework of the elements, which is a foundational principle of Ayurveda. So ether, air, fire, water, and earth. And we are all made of these elements in different proportions and in different combinations. And this differs for everyone. So as Dr. Ismat mentioned, that Ayurveda and yoga are sister sciences or sister philosophies. And they are both sciences of liberation, which bring you through or guide you through a process of self-inquiry, self-knowledge, self-observation, and awareness. And Ayurveda is also known as, let's say, the science of self-healing, and yoga is known as the science of self-realization. But for self-realization, we need to be anchored, situated, or rooted within ourselves, and also have functioning bodily processes, and a mind, a soul, and a mind and senses that are happy. And this is just one aspect of a more robust, full definition of health, svastha in Ayurveda. So Ayurveda and yoga, they really work to support each other. And in Ayu-yoga, it's really tailored to an individual and what that individual's needs are, what's happening in their life at that point in time. in their health to bring them back into a state of balance, a state of ease, resilience, and also of vitality, because we are here to also enjoy our health. It helps us, it's designed to help us realize our human potential here. And it changes according to the season, according to the individual's age, life transitions. It changes according to maybe one's constitution. So it's customized to help bring balance throughout life. And Ayu-yoga, it really connects us to and aligns us with nature. And so we have like an experiential understanding of what's happening outside in nature is also happening within us. These are our innate cycles, our innate rhythms. So it's bringing us back to that connection. And it's that understanding of we are the microcosm of the macrocosm, like we're a mini universe here. So at the moment, especially now, it's very, very intense times in the world. And perhaps there are feelings of frustration, anger, agitation, or just even like a state of overwhelm with the state of the world right now. So I'll move now into the summer Ayu-yoga tips and practices, which can really help to soothe and calm and pacify that heat. These are all very hot qualities, this anger and agitation and frustration. So a summer Ayu-yoga practice will help to soothe and calm that. So firstly, one thing is to wear, like if you're doing a movement-based practice, to wear, and in general, whether it's movement or not, to wear loose fabrics, breathable fabrics. These could include things like silk is really recommended in the summertime. It's very cooling. It also has a soft quality, which we want to introduce during this time, especially in hotter times. Could be cotton, linen, hemp, but really the focus is on a natural, breathable fiber. And especially during, let's say, a movement practice, an asana practice, and while sleeping, especially important. And then if that can be extended other times as well, that would be amazing. Practicing at not our maximum capacity. So when we are doing postures and movements, maybe at about 75% of the capacity right now, because we already have a lot of heat right now. Maybe where you're at, it's not so hot, but it might become a little bit hot, depending on where we are in the world right now here. But here in Canada, it's quite hot. So we don't really need to work at our full capacity. It needs to be about 75%. Taking focus of the face, so really softening through the jaw, through the cheeks, just allowing the eyes, especially the eyes. So the eyes are a site of pitta. Pitta is like the fire and water. This is one of the sites of pitta in the body. And sometimes what happens is we can have a very strained gaze or a sharp gaze. What we would like to invite now is a very soft gaze. So maybe lowering your eyes sometimes, closing them, or just generally softening them, and just bringing the awareness to the face. Focusing on flow, ease, and lightness of being. So that could be in our day-to-day activities, whatever it is that we are doing day-to-day, the different work and tasks that we are doing, or it could also be in our practice. And if we're doing a movement practice, imagine yourself as you're in a pool of water and you're wading through the water. So imagine your limbs kind of wading through that water. It's that kind of energy of flow and ease. And lengthening a little bit the exhalation. So we'll practice that a little bit. So we'll move into the practice part, and we'll start with a few cleansing and grounding breaths. And then we'll move into a pranayam called Sitkari pranayam, which is called a hissing breath. It's very similar to Sitali pranayam, which is a cooling breath, but Sitkari is a little bit more accessible because the other one requires us to curl the tongue, which some people can and some people can't. So this one I find is quite an accessible practice. So wherever you are at right now, if you're seated in a chair, then allow the soles of your feet to meet the floor. Just allow them to gently touch the floor, make contact. If you're seated on the floor, come into a comfortable position. Maybe that's cross-legged or that's legs extended. We want the body to be relaxed, at ease. So just take a moment to settle yourself. And sit with the head and neck and spine erect, but not stiff. So allow the shoulders to soften, allow your face to soften, and then even lower or close your eyes. A few cleansing and grounding breaths, just observing the inhales and exhales. Noticing different qualities that may be present. Is the breath long and deep, or is it shallow? Let's just witness as we are. Witnessing the temperature of your body and the activity of your mind. Just noticing. Continuing to breathe, inhaling and exhaling through the nose. Deep breath in. See if you can expand and lengthen. And a deep breath out. Exhale. And follow your own breath, the inhale. And see if you can lengthen the exhalation a little bit longer, both through the nose, in and out. A little longer on the exhalation. Now that we've grounded and centered our breath, we'll continue with the Sitkari pranayam. So here we want to have the teeth closed and the mouth slightly open. And we're going to breathe in like sucking air in through the teeth. So I'll just demonstrate first. So we would suck the air into the closed teeth, close the mouth, and then out through the nose. So breathing in through the teeth and out through the nose. So we'll try this a few times. So bringing the teeth together, closed teeth and lips a little open, and the tip of the tongue at the back of the teeth. So inhaling, closing the mouth, out through the nose. We'll continue a few more times at our own pace here. Sucking air in through the teeth, that hissing sound. Closing the mouth and out through the nose. And take your time, take 3 more breaths like this. As you inhale and you take the air in through your teeth, just notice that your belly is also expanding here. The belly is growing and getting bigger on the inhale. Then when you close your mouth, relax the tongue and exhale out through the nose. So complete your last breath here. And then come back into this virtual space. You can allow the eyes to softly open. So this practice, it helps to really soothe the emotions, and it cools and calms the mind and reduces agitation and anger. So thank you very much. I'll pass it back to Dr. Ismat here.
Thank you, Janeen. Thank you very much for sharing the yoga tips. I really appreciate that. And those who are thinking of studying the fundamental codes, you will meet Janeen more often. And Janeen will be sharing all these beautiful tips with you all. So next, I will pass it on to Dr. Sairupa Krishnamurti. Dr. Sairupa Krishnamurti is a naturopathic doctor and an Ayurvedic practitioner. Actually, she went through an interesting journey where she was first an Ayurvedic practitioner and then she went into being a naturopathic doctor. And even after years of studying intensively to be a naturopathic doctor, now in naturopathic practice, her heart is still very much with Ayurveda and she tries to incorporate it in her teachings as well as in her practice. So I will have Dr. Sairupa talk to you about the school and her own experience from her own heart, mind, and spirit.
Thank you, Ismatji, and hello to everyone. And I also, of course, wanted to say thank you so much, Janeen. That was such a beautiful practice and an introduction to Ayu-yoga as well. So yeah, as Ismatji mentioned, I'm both a naturopathic doctor and also an Ayurveda practitioner. And I today wanted to just share my story of coming into Ayurvedic medicine. And so this was now about 13 years ago when I had first met Ismatji. And so I had been practicing yoga for a few years, and I was just in my early 20s or mid 20s around that time. And, you know, yoga was beautiful. I had my first introduction to Ayurveda through yoga. And for me, I actually was dealing with eczema a lot throughout my life. And, you know, I had never been exposed to Ayurveda throughout my childhood, although it is an ancestral medicine for my family. I had never really been exposed to it. However, I had been taken to dermatologists, regular doctors, medical doctors, of course, to try to understand what was happening with my eczema. And unfortunately, when I had that experience of going to dermatologist, all that would typically be said was, oh, you're just, you know, you're unlucky. There's nothing we can do to change this, but we can manage the symptoms. So I would be given hydrocortisone cream so very often, and I'd be using that pretty regularly just to kind of manage the symptoms. So unfortunately, you know, things got worse at a certain time. And this is why I ended up coming to see Dr. Ismat for the first time. And the beauty of this experience was that it was unlike anything I had ever experienced in my life with medicine. So, you know, Dr. Ismat was able to assess what my dosha was, my constitution, and ask specific questions such as, have you been through emotional challenges or difficulties lately? And, you know, also assessing my digestive system, which was so key into healing my eczema. And so after going through a lot of the beautiful treatments that Dr. Ismat had outlined and given me, this was to change my diet, nourish my emotions, also find release of some of my emotions as well. I was able to heal my eczema. So I actually no longer have eczema. I still have, you know, some root cause skin conditions that is mostly dryness, which is part of my constitution, but it's so well managed through Ayurveda. The beauty of Ayurveda being so focused, so heart focused on understanding the root cause and the nature of a person in order to be able to treat the person. which is I think unlike any other medicine. It's so beautiful. So this is what led me into studying Ayurveda. And, I really wanted to say that, Ismat has been a mentor of mine and of many other students for many, many years. And to be able to learn with Ismat is just such a beautiful thing, because it's not just learning the theory. It's so much about understanding where your heart is as someone that's giving to others as well. And to always kind of tune into how you can truly help the person that you're working with. So one thing that I'll always remember that Dr. Ismat has shared is that, every time you see a patient, you don't see them as a human, you see them as God or divinity in front of you. And, for me, this is always a very grounding and guiding message. So I just wanted to mention a little bit about my story, but if anyone has questions at all, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Sairupa. Sairupa, would you want to say something about the school in general and the kind of students that come through and experience of other students as a faculty and as a student both?
Yeah, well, the student body in general is, I think it's quite diverse. And that's what's beautiful about it. It's very diverse. People come from all walks of life. And it's just a very nurturing community. So it's very non-judgmental. And I would say non-hierarchical, because we really do want to trust everyone's wisdom and their personal experience into what has brought them into this study in the first place. And, we really welcome everybody's voices as well in this schooling. So it's a safe space. It's a comfortable space. And it's, I believe, like just an amazing learning environment to be able to, of course, learn the theory, learn the foundation of Ayurveda, but then also be able to cultivate yourself in terms of your own healing and gifts as a Ayurvedic practitioner as well.
I have a question for Dr. Sairupa. So, you say that you are an Ayurvedic doctor practitioner and also a naturopath. So, what do you find the basic difference of treatments between the two systems? Like comparative, like which one, like comparative, better, worse, whatever, in your experience?
Okay, well, this is a fantastic question. Thank you so much for asking. I definitely want to clarify that I'm not a Vaidya, I'm an Ayurvedic practitioner. So, but I am a naturopathic doctor. And here in Canada, so I'm not sure where you're calling from, but here in Canada, naturopathic doctors are considered as primary care providers. So it's the kind of education that naturopaths receive is thorough in terms of the Western diagnosis and then assessment. And we also get trained in pharmaceutical medicine, so Western pharmaceutical medicine. And it's still focused on natural therapies. However, there's no training in Ayurveda yet, at least. That might come along. There is an understanding of what is root cause. So there's still a really big focus on understanding what might be the root cause, different from Western medicine, of course. So this is understanding what the stress levels are of the person, understanding digestion, and understanding their lifestyle as well that could be contributing to the imbalance or disease factors. So it's different in the sense that, with naturopathic medicine, we don't look at humors and we don't necessarily always look at the individualized constitution. However, of course, as we know with Ayurveda, it's so focused on understanding dosha and constitution. And then also from that point, understanding where that person is in their life and then their environment as well. That helps the practitioner to create a plan that is specified to that person as well. I hope that helped to answer.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Any other questions at all?
No. Okay, great. Thank you, Sairupa. Thank you very much for sharing your insight.